Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more Grimscar. It's been a while, in fact I would have liked to have dipped into it again a little sooner, but here we are now. Okay, so a few questions arose from the previous episode. Questions that were raised in the comments section or by me, mostly in the comments section. First question was about healing. How to heal minor wounds. Now, it's right here on page 22, resting and healing. When you rest overnight, reset your minor wounds to 0. You cannot rest in the Dark Weald and must return to the town to do so. Now, there are hints at this in character creation under minor and major wounds. Major wounds are harder to heal than minor wounds. Sometimes you will need the expertise of Martha Shaw in the town. Visit her and she will give you a quest to find the required item, which, if you return to her, she will use them to heal you. Also, some major wounds have have instructions on how to heal them. Okay, fine. Not overly helpful in the combat chapter under major and minor wounds. We have minor wounds. This type of wound represents bruises, scrapes, knocks, and cuts. You keep track of them on your character sheet. And then under major wounds, you cannot attempt to heal them while on a journey unless otherwise stated. They also do not heal after a night's sleep. See Martha Shaw. Now this is... okay, it's just on the next page. So it's not too far ahead to find... oh, this is what it's talking about here. It would have probably been helpful to put this information a little earlier, though. But there we are. We have the answer to that. So as Ellie rests overnight, we will remove her minor wounds. Additionally, I noticed that there was a discrepancy between her token and the character sheet, in that on the character sheet she only had 4 pity, but there was 5 on the token. Now, it's early. I think we'll give her a little kindness and give her that point of pity. I checked recording, skimmed through it, couldn't find exactly what happened. But I did notice as I was playing that I was keeping the token far more updated than the character sheet. So I think what I'll do is use the character sheet for things like money and the equipment list. And then I won't keep this up to date for the stats. I will update them at the end of each session from the token. So the token is the most up to date in case of, disagreements or discrepancies in the future. And I can't see, I'm not sure if she's spent a point of pity in one of the events or not, or lost a point. I looked at because she did get to roll a stat consequence table for using butchery at one point. It doesn't seem to have been from that, and I don't think she used pity in combat. And it's only 1 point. It probably won't last forever. If any of you do know exactly if she did spend a point of pity in the last session or not, feel free to let me know. If you want to go back and check, that's awesome. Big respect for you if you do. The other question that arose was the fact that I didn't seem to be rolling on the major wound table when inflicting major wounds on monsters. Now, that one's entirely on me, because here we have the... where is it? Oh, it's not stat consequences, it's the major wound table. And the majority of these major wounds affect stats that only the player has that monsters do not use. And while there are some minor consequences on here that could affect monsters, it felt like I should not be rolling for monsters on this table. Furthermore, in the combat chapter, damage. When you take damage, you receive either a minor or major wound. If the winning attack roll is minor and major wounds. Where is it? Because it says somewhere, if you receive a major wound, roll on the major wound table, right? It doesn't say anything about rolling on the major wound table for monsters. When you yes, these are wounds that immediately affect you and are serious. When you receive one, you must roll on the major wound table to discover how your character has been injured and the effect it has. There is no actual mention of dealing damage to enemies. It tells you how much damage they can take, and they die when they've taken it. And that is it. However, I was correct in my belief that I absolutely should not be rolling on the major wound table for monsters. There is, however, a completely different table called the creature major wound table, which you roll on when you inflict a major wound on a monster. This is what I had missed earlier, and that's my bad. So Ellie's going to go back to her hovel, where she lives alone. Her parents passed recently. The alderman said he knew her parents and they were good folks, but, you know, knew past tense, not present. So she's an orphan at this point. Yes, Norphan, Norphan. Thank you, William Brown. You know the Just William stories with like, I don't want to be a Norphan, and William and the outlaws, you know, and become an outlaw, not become an outlaw. Yeah. So she will return to her hovel, scrape up some food from the larder, and, you know, bed down, wrap herself in the blankets against the night cold air outside, and hope the shutters can keep some of that chill out. And in the morning, she will remember that we are allowed to visit people in the town. You can visit each person in the town once in between journeys to the Dark Weald. So we are going to visit someone. We'll close the combat chapter for a moment. I'm sure we'll refer to it again at some point. But I would like to approach a citizen. We have a little bit of money now. We have 4 copper coins and a chain worth 10 copper coins. I would like to visit Foley Eastleigh, the market foreman, and Harper Fairgrove, the market hand. Harper Fairgrove doesn't seem to have a section as an approachable person, restricted, not even as a restricted person. So let's go to market. I'm not going to... It would probably be wise to go and visit every single person and see all of the quests they had for us, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try and make it more generic. More characterful and feeling like when I have purpose and the story drives me there. So, Foley Eastleigh, the market foreman, manages the stalls. Foley is often found hanging around the 10 market stalls in the poky market square of Grimscar. You spot him standing next to his foreman's hut and you raise a hand. He comes over to meet you and you see there are a few people on the stalls, but only 4 are occupied. He wears a large leather pouch at his side in which you know he keeps wooden tokens. "You're looking to buy something," he says, addressing you by name. "You're looking to buy something, Ellie?" You have known Foley since you were young. There are some items available to buy on the market. A young, smarmy man called Neville Hawthorne, probably related to Nigel Hawthorne in some way, but much younger, stands at a wide barrel, a makeshift stall, selling rations for 5 wooden tokens. So that a wooden token is a quarter of a copper coin. As you come closer, he smiles and reaches into his waistcoat pocket to retrieve a small ceramic pot. "I also have a pot of healing balm for 1 copper coin, if you interest, my kind madam. This cream will heal 1 minor wound. There is only one available today, which is the case every time you come to the market, Such creams are highly sought after in these parts, my good lady. What say you? Well, we already have one with 2 uses, but we could absolutely do with a third one. Let's do that. Also, Val Whitlock is selling some clothing on one stall. Roll twice on the market clothing table below to see what they are. There are different items here. When you next return from a dark weald, you can spend 1 charm point to reduce the cost of one item by 1 copper coin, apart from gloves. Apparently there's no discounting on them, because it's bloody cold and people need to keep their hands warm. Foley places a hand on your shoulder and you jump as you had forgotten that he was there, and he pulls you to one side once you've finished looking at the clothes. Well, we haven't finished looking at the clothes yet, so let's do that. It's a D10 table, so we'll roll twice and see what is available. There is a 9 and a 2. A scarf for our head, 1 point of warmth for 2 copper coins, and chemise, which shouldn't have an extra S at the end because it's not plural. Body, 2 warmth, 4 copper coins. So a chemise is a medieval nightgown, essentially a... Well, it's not even that. That's what it kind of evolved into. It's a medieval undergarment, but it's essentially a nightgown, but they would wear them during the day under their clothes as part of the whole outfit. That's 4 copper coins. It's not overtly evident where we can trade the chain, so let us sell our chain here for 10 copper coins. She would like a more feminine garment, like the skirt, right? The linen shirt is nice, but she's got the tunic, which is the same already, essentially. Actually better. So I will purchase the scarf, and she'll wrap it around her neck, sometimes pull it up over her head like a shawl, depending on how cold it gets and how cold her ears are feeling. So I'm going to put clothes up here. And interestingly, we do have a leg slot, but some of these, like the skirt, is assigned to the body, bizarrely, and not the legs. Clothes also have a hands and feet and face section, which I presume there's some kind of masks we can get hold of at some point. So why the hell would you want fingerless gloves? It just is really... It just means your fingers get cold, you know. So 2 for that. And that also pops our warmth up to a 6. However, there's a lot of warmth 7. So we'll take the chemise, right? And it can look a bit like a... body, warmth 2. And it can look a bit like a skirt sticking out from underneath her tunic over her very cold bare legs. And let's put the scarf up here on top, because the head is on top of the body. Right, so we have a total of 1, 4, 6, 8 warmth now. And while a lot of the cold near the village requires a warmth of 7, it's probably going to get even colder as we travel further away. However, we do now have a warmth of 8, which is brilliant. After making our purchases, Foley places a hand on Ellie's shoulder and, takes her aside. Says, "There is something else you could help with if you're interested. Quest. Supply the market stall. Help Foley, help Stanway Beaumont. You may do this quest as many times as you like." Foley points to an old man standing at what would appear to be a sparsely stocked market stall. "That is Stanley Beaumont, and he's an old hawker who has had that hardware stall for many years now. But he's threatening to give it up, and that will not do. What happens if he does? The others might follow suit. I've been directly instructed by the alderman to try and keep the market going, which is no easy task, I can tell you. It's a matter of morale, apparently, not giving up and believing in a future. In these dark times, perhaps my market brings hope to the people. Some folk who come here just to chat and catch up. Nothing wrong with that." He pauses and rubs his eyes as if tired. "I haven't been sleeping too well recently. It's the sounds in the night." He appears to shudder. "In any case, if you find a few items out there in the forest and bring them back, I'll pay you some coin, and then I can give them to Stanway to sell in his stall." The first Tier 1 quest item that you find on your next journey into the Darkweald is as follows. You see there is a pack here, and inside is a selection of stone tools. I'd rather do the Alderman's quest first. When you return to Grimscar and give them to Foley, he rewards you with 10 copper coins. You can spend 1 charm point to increase this to 13 copper coins. We kind of lost a charm point due to cruel, brutal butchery, so let's not spend our last one. Also, if you find any of the following, rope, twine, pegs, chalk, buckets, or similar hardware items, then Foley will pay you 1 coin for each of them. This is the point where I'm going to briefly go check Farnham Ravencloud, the blacksmith, to see if he is the one who will buy the chain, and I should not have sold it. I'm not seeing anything there directly. Wait. No, okay, great. Right, I probably shouldn't have looked at that yet, but he's an available person, so I can. It's time to head off into the forest and resume our search for supplies, foodstuffs for the town. First, we will go to the Twisted Oak, which is going to look rather like Robin Hood's oak, right? A great rambling thing. Okay, one moment then. If we're going to be like that. The major oak, Robin Hood's oak, it's got so much scaffolding supporting it these days. It's a huge oak tree in Sherwood Forest where Robin Hood used to stash his treasure so that the sheriff and his men wouldn't find it. This thing is, it's ancient. It's, like a national monument. It's a beautiful, huge thing. And you can almost see the kind of faces that are described in the description. So we will go back to our, where are we? Forest table. Twisted Oak, not Massive Trunk. Okay. And we do know that inside the heart chamber in the center of the great hole in the trunk is a space we could search if we spend 2 points of survival. Because it's difficult to locate. We only have 3 points of survival. And we had to spend 1 already. We haven't had any opportunities to gain any more. I will not do so. So this represents the first time, the first hour of our quest today. So let's head out a little further And roll. 88. Great. What wickedness does the forest hold for us this week? Or rather this day? Dark recess. The trees are well spaced here, and where the land dips down in amongst them, there is an overhanging rock formation. Beneath this is a dark recess. You have to pass it to continue, and as you do, something happens. Roll a d6. Again, let's not sing that awful song. Got a 5. Roll a d6, roll a d6. DM says you're gonna die. Roll a d6. It's so repetitive. The rock shifts and falls, crashing into the recess. A crow screams and launches into the sky. A tree begins to creak and tips towards you. Roll your reserve die. Well, shit, our reserve die is only a d4. If the total is 4 or higher, you jump out of the way. Otherwise, you are caught and gain a minor wound. Well, we're probably getting a minor wound then, to be honest. Yep, we are clumped by a tree. No armor save allowed, obviously, because it didn't roll to hurt us. So, dark recess. Where are we? There we go. Excellent stuff. An unfortunate incident, and we have acquired a minor wound. It's okay, so we can use rations. Here's the thing that bothers me, right? We can use rations to improvise a bandage and remove a minor wound after a combat. And the chap sells rations for 5 wooden tokens. Oh, I get it. Because I was thinking, why does he then sell a healing balm for essentially 4 wooden tokens? And it's because there's only 1 a day. Whereas the rations are readily available. Let's head up this way because we searched this area west of town, north and west of town last time. Let's continue our quest for food supplies for the town. 41. Well, it's different. As we travel through the jagged, leafless trees, their branches clawing and clutching, it all feels very ominous. Tree stumps. Well, I'll write that one down. Need to get in the habit of marking our map. You've come to an area where 5 or 6 trees have been felled. The stumps are old, though, as this happened years ago. Saplings have filled the area. You spot something on a stump, roll a d6. We will absolutely do that, and we will not sing the bloody song, because I said so. A 3. It's a dead bird. Lose 1 hope. Oh dear. And I said I'm keeping the token up to date, and then I update the character sheet at the end of a session. Our hope has dwindled. That's bad. That's twice we've lost hope now. That's really bad. Okay. Well. Oh, if we'd rolled a 6, we would have got the food we're searching for. That's unfortunate. Well, let's press on. What do we find in this area? 48. Why, that's remarkably close but different. Twisted oak. Again! This is a unique, permanent location. We already have one. I think we're allowed 2 of each permanent location in each zone, but hold on. Because exploring the forest... hang on now. Forest up for a search forest. Yeah, right. Map key. 18. You can only have up to 2 of each type of permanent feature. If you should roll the same permanent feature a third time, re-roll. So it's not even per zone. So, yes, another Twisted Oak. We have been blessed. So now that we know we can have 2, that means we can't find any more. But it also means that the Twisted Oak may not be on the encounter tables for further away from the village. There will probably be other permanent encounters there instead. So this is a new ginormous oak tree. Huge and lumbering. All twisted and gnarled and knobbly. I mean, look at that. That is epic. Look. Yeah, it's huge. I went to see it, I think, when I was about 12 years old. It was really impressive. I might have been 11, I'm not sure, but it was great. A large oak twists across this space. It is ancient and knotted, and you look at it one way and then another, and at each turn you see a gnarly face in the bark. You also spot a hole known as a heart chamber. It is large enough for you to reach into. If you do, roll on the heart chamber table, and if we come here again, we can spend 2 points of valor to do it. So we get another free roll on the heart chamber table, which is awesome. It's a d6. 4. What have we here? There is something soft inside and you pull it free. Roll a d6 again. Should have just kept this open really, shouldn't I? Okay. A 1. On a 1 to 2, it is a cloth wrapped around a cheese worth 4 wooden tokens. This serves as 1 ration. Excellent. I don't know how we're going to make an improvised dressing with a cheese, probably with the cloth that was wrapped around it. There we go. Well, let's continue in this direction. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We should be able to explore 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So we can do a lot, in theory. Dice rolls permitting, mind you. It could be very deadly. And we get a 96. Oh dear. What could this be? Well, I'm going to go to the Dark Forest table because it's just closer. Glyph tree. Not permanent. Oh, I think we got that before. Okay. And while I'm at it, just marking that one down now before I forget. Those are remarkably close together. One tree amongst the many in this area has been stripped of its bark, and symbols and glyphs have been carved into the softer, smoother wood. You know this to be a glyph tree and have seen one before, but this example has many more markings, and some are rough, bloody scratches, as if scored by fingernails. You place a hand on the trunk and it feels warm. You can carve your own rune if you wish, but only one. Pick one of the following. The Trutina glyph to gain 1 patience, or the Miseratio glyph for 1 pity, or the Relic glyph for 1 hope. Well, given that we have lost so much hope, I mean, I could do the Trutina glyph to... Actually, if I did that last time, that could be why there was 1 more pity here than on the on the token than on the character sheet. So we will carve the Relic glyph and gain a point of hope. When you pass through this hex again, the glyph tree is nowhere to be seen. So let's move on with our search. I don't want to jinx it, but we've managed to avoid combat so far. And I probably shouldn't have said that, because it might not be much longer before we have to do battle with some kind of horrific creature. Frozen scene. Oh, we had this before. A chilling mist clings to the air and trees as you stumble on through, trying to avoid the knotted roots. If you have warmth 9 or lower, lose 1 patience. Oh, that's unfortunate, but hey, it is what it is. You come to a frozen tree covered in frost and icicles. It seems colder here than before. A moan draws your attention, and out of the white comes a frozen acolyte, her body marked with blue cuts with ice and bruising around her eyes. You must fight. After, you notice a chain wrapped around the tree. You can take it and put it in your inventory. This is a valuable metal item worth 10 copper coins. If you encounter the frozen scene again, then there is no chain this time. Well, guess what? We had this encounter before. It's where we got a chain last time. And let's go face a frozen acolyte. A little further over. There we go. Refresh vision. And we shall prepare to do battle with this hideous monster. Well, the frozen acolyte is upon us, and she does roll 2d4, which is quite nasty. Alright, Ellie. Show what you've got. You got your crappy blunt sword that's no good, but you might as well try and use it. Let's just... There we go. And yeah, I could drag this around, but because I use it for other games, I'll just keep it in the same place. Ellie, you're rolling a d6. You got a 2. Oh, that is dreadful. The frozen acolyte with her 2d4 obviously rolls higher. She rolls a 4. We will think for a moment. We'd need to roll a 5+ on d6 plus 1. So essentially a 4+ on a d6 to take that on the armor. And it's high enough to be a major wound, which we do not want. Also, as a 4, we would need to use Rage or Butcher to get to an 8 to inflict a major wound. So we'd only needing an armor roll, but armor to try and stave off a major is bad. We'd be better off. Armor to stave off a major is only really possible if we've rolled very low. Let's use Pity for this hideous creature. This is going to be bad, isn't it? Okay, so that'll go down to a 4. That'll raise our combat total to a 6, and we will inflict 1 minor wound on the enemy. It's not much, but it's a start. And we will roll on the Pity consequence table. Hope it's not something too bad. A 3. You turn your weapon so it's less effective. Your Pity overriding the attack. If you caused a major wound, this round, reduce it to a minor wound. Also, lose 1 Butcher. So, losing a point of Butcher so it drops down to a 6 is totally fine. And I forgot we could have just used our reserve die. So, round 2. Ellie will roll her d6 and get a 2. Oh, this is not a good sign, is it? And the Frozen Acolyte will roll a 3. we will use our reserve die. A 3 takes our 2 up to a 5. It's not doubled, but it is another minor wound. Round 3. We roll a 1. Oh, this is not good. The enemy rolls a 6. Okay. Yeah. Okay, rage. Rage it. Rage against the Frozen Acolyte. It's not a machine. I'm not looking forwards to this. So that will take our 1 up to a 7 and inflict a minor wound. But we're also rolling here. Oh, a 6. You channel your rage and follow through, howling as you hit the foe again and again. Cause an extra minor wound. So those 2 go to 4 minor wounds, and we lose 2 pity, which is really bad for us. I don't want to know what will happen if we run out of a stat, but that is not the kind of thing we can afford to do very often. But we must fight on. We roll a 3. Oh, dear goodness. Okay. And our foe rolls a 2. Excellent. And with a 5th minor wound, we defeat the Frozen Acolyte. Her blue body with the cuts and, rimed of ice just falls to the ground. Oh. And I should have paid more attention to this. Because it did roll a 6. I mean, we got it right here, right? We rolled a 2, it rolled a 4. And we used a stat. We rolled a 3. For consequence, we rolled a 2. It rolled a 3. Chilling touch, gain a minor wound if you have no armor. We do. We have our wooden buckler, which counts as the arm for some reason. We rolled a 2. We rolled a 2. It rolled a 3. So hang on, let's go back. 2. That's round 1. Consequence. Round 2. It got a 3. We boosted. Round 3. It rolled a 6. Freezing cloud. Gain 1 wear if you have no head clothing. We have a scarf. Haha. Consequence. We rolled a 3. It rolled a 2. Okay, so excellent. We're okay. And we get to roll on the body search table. There we go. Which is not the found body table. A D12. Excellent. Not a D6. The nicest die for Advanced Hero Quest. In fact, the only die you needed for Advanced Hero Quest, because you could make the D3 and D4 out of it, and the D6. You find a small pot of healing balm, enough for 2 doses. Well, guess what? We're getting a lot of that. It's not a bigger pot, so I am going to duplicate the pot. And I will use one of the original pot, because it's a little bit older, to remove our 1 minor wound. Then I will move on in my search for food. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. A 58. Excellent. Right. Shadowy Grove. Again, not a permanent feature, so that's nice. There we go. That's a little out of hex, but it'll do for now, because it won't be there by the end of the day. The trees grow in a tight cluster here, forming a shadowy grove. You must navigate it to continue. Roll a d6. Before you roll, you can spend 1 survival point to increase the total by 1. Unfortunately, we don't have that many survival points to spare, so I'm going for a straight roll here. A 4, and hoping it'll be enough. 4 to 5. It is damper here. You discover a collection of edible mushrooms and collect them up. You can give them out in town and gain 1 reputation, or you may use them for 1 ration. Excellent. While mushrooms are nice, I think I will let the villagers appreciate them. Alright. This is part of the 6, so we don't get to do that. Let's move on. As we continue our quest, 96. Hang on, I think we've had that before. This run. A glyph tree. Oh, lovely! Well, you know what? We've just lost 2 points of pity, and we could really do us some more. Pity up here. There we go. We will carve the Miseratio rune into the tree and move on. That was fortunate. A 55. Okay. Shattered tombstone. Is permanent. Okay. Whatever it is, it's going to be important. There was a building here. It long ago crumbled and the area has been reforested. Beyond the foundations you find a mound of stones at the rear that was clearly once a tombstone. Lying amongst the stones is a body that seems to be frozen. You feel the cold. If you have warmth 6 or lower, lose 1 patience. It is a frozen acolyte that has been drawn to the area. It rises and attacks. Again, another frozen acolyte. This is going to be horrible. Okay. Well, if we survive, that remains to be seen. That's not the frozen acolyte. This is the frozen acolyte. And we'll just pop ourselves up there again. Open up the dice box and prepare to do battle. Oh, Ellie, good luck. Alright. Ellie rolls a 1. Of course she bloody does. 7 for the frozen acolyte. We can't take that on the armor. We can boost with rage to an 8, but the consequences are not pretty. I think we have to. This is bad, just to be clear. A 2. You lose control, the rage ripping through your body. Your savage attack knocking you off balance. -3 to your next attack roll. Lose 1 pity and gain 1 wear. But we have inflicted 1 minor wound. -3 to our next roll. Lose 1 pity and gain 1 wear. Just to make things... We just got that point of pity back. And where has gone up to a 5. Okay. Two. 5 minus 3 is 2. Well, unsurprisingly, our opponent rolls a 4. You know what? I will use our reserve die. A 3 takes that up to a 5. We inflict a minor wound on the Frozen Acolyte. We've now used Rage and our reserve die. So now, new round, we get a 4. The Frozen Acolyte, which is a fearsome foe, also gets a 4. I will happily live with that result, as it involves us not taking damage. We fight on with a 6, and the Frozen Acolyte gets 2. 2 is 4 points less than a 4 points less than 6, so it's not going to trigger its reserve die. And 6 is double 2, so it's a major wound. Which means we get to roll on the creature major wound table for the first time ever. And I blatantly should have done it last time. It doesn't help that major wound is... Oh no, it is alphabetical there. It's just weird. Right. D10. Okay. A 10. Oh, this could be good. Savage Chop. Your weapon breaks flesh and hits bone. The enemy flinching away, and you just manage to hold on to your weapon. The enemy gains an extra minor wound and downsizes 1 reserve die. Now, the D4 doesn't go smaller than a D4 in this game, so I think it just loses its reserve die. Let's just go to character creation, I think. Or the combat section. Combat and reserve die. If you downsize D8, becomes D6. So the die range dice, yeah, it doesn't go below a D4, so it just loses its reserve die, which is actually really helpful for us. We fight on. A 4. Okay. It gets a 5. We can take a minor wound, but before we do that, we'll take an armor roll. See if our wooden buckler can protect us. And it does. Took it on the armor, no injury. We roll a 6, which is excellent, but with 2d4, the Frozen Acolyte rolls a 7. You know what? We might roll another 6. Buckler. No. We take a minor wound. We can absolutely live with quite a few minor wounds, especially as we have a lot of healing items. Let's fight on. We roll a 1, which is terrible. Our opponent rolls a 2. Let's just try block it on the armor. Oh look, a 4. We're fine. Excellent. We fight on and roll a 3, which is not great. 4 for the opponent. We'll take it on the armor. On the wooden buckler, a 6. We're good. It is proving to be a bit of a lifesaver. We roll a 1 for combat again. Ellie, you are possibly not cut out for this. The foe rolls a 3, which triggers Chilling Touch, which would inflict a minor wound, but we have a wooden buckler to hold off, to fend off its attack as it tries to grab us. However, 3 is higher than 1, so as we fend off that attack, we also fend off the minor wound from the original attack as well with our buckler. That's excellent. Now Ellie rolls a 2. Are we getting map tools dice? We kind of are, aren't we? The opponent gets a 2 as well, That's a draw. We'll take it. I don't want to risk rolling on any more stat tables and losing more points of pity, patience, or hope. So we'll go straight to a roll of a 2. And our opponent rolls a 4. That's double. We will try defend ourselves. And we do not. That's a major wound. That's our first major wound. Oh dear. As these can have very long-lasting consequences. And unlike monsters, we do not roll a d10, we roll a d8. And we get a 7. Savage Slash. The impact opens a savage wound on your side. Warm blood seeps into your clothing and you apply pressure immediately as you put up your guard. If you survive the fight and have a bandage, you can wrap the wound. If you have no bandage, then gain a minor wound, after which it stops bleeding. Roll a d6. On a 1 to 3, any body armor you are wearing is damaged and cannot be used. It can be repaired at the armory in town. Gain 2 rage and lose 1 pity. Also roll on the Savage Scar table once back in Grimscar. Well, I'm going to roll that d6, even though we have no body armor. How did we get an 8? A 4. So our non-existent body armor is okay. It can be gain 2 rage and lose 1 pity. I'm going to presume that happens regardless of whether our armor is damaged or not. So, So the Savage Slash, we bleed after the fight. We'll take an extra minor injury, and which could kill us. And Savage Scar back in town. So this one looks like it's not a... Well, we'll see what the Savage Scar is. Maybe that can be treated. But it's still nasty. Okay. So we took a major wound. Our first major wound. And we'll have to seriously question whether we continue on with this fight. If we run away, this becomes a lair space, which we really don't want. But it's a permanent space anyway. And the main thing about running away is you lose 1 hope and gain 2 wear, which we really don't want to do. Speaking of which, our injury caused us to lose even more pity, didn't it? 2 rage, lose 1 pity. Okay. Our rage ramping up there. Our pity absolutely tumbling into the gutter. Well, we'll fight on for now because we don't have much choice. Ellie rolls a 5. Better than constantly rolling 2s. And the Frozen Acolyte also gets a 5. I'm going to use patience. No, hope. Wait. No, we need to use at least 5 to... Hatred. We hate this thing. It's really hurt us. What did we use earlier in the fight? We used our reserve die. No, this is our only consequence so far, isn't it? Yeah. I don't want to use rage because it just keeps destroying pity. Butcher, likewise. We'll go hatred because we haven't used it before. We didn't need to use hatred, but it might have a slightly different consequence. So that will go up to a major wound. a second major wound on the creature, but hatred stat table 4. You cannot get over your hatred of the creature before you feel numbed. -1 to your next attack roll. Well, hey, if that's all we suffer, yeah, this one's reducing hope. That's reducing pity, and I presume the other one then reduces, hope and charm. Okay, so yeah, okay, -1 to our next attack roll is fine, but we've also inflicted a major wound on the monster. A 5. Crippling blow. You strike the beast high as it tries to block the attack. It's stunned and has -2 to its next attack roll for the next round, as well as gaining an extra minor wound. So, we have inflicted a major wound. There's no way that is a second major wound, because we haven't inflicted one before this fight on this creature. So, I must have written that one in already. But an extra minor, which brings it very close to death. And then for this new round, we're fighting at -1. We roll a 5. I put in +1 instead of -1 for some reason. And it's rolling at -2. Which gets a 1. So we get double, we get a major wound. Which we will roll for anyway, even though it kills it. Another 5. Another high strike. Wait, crippling blow. Yeah, strike the beast high as it tries to block the attack. And finish it off. Now we're bleeding. We gain an extra minor wound. And with our 1 major, we are indeed at much greater risk of death. But we will roll on the body search table. It's a d12 and we get to roll. We find an 11. A small pot of healing balm, enough for 2 doses. I mean, oh dear. This is starting to get a little bit repetitive, you know. Not that it's a massive problem, mind. Now, since we have 2 minor wounds, it's a question of whether we want to push on with a major wound or not. So I've given us our extra minor wound for the bleeding, and the encounter is not yet over. It's like a 55, wasn't it? If you survive, you can search for sight. Roll a d6, and before you roll, you can spend 1 survival point to increase your total. Wonderful. Hang on. Roll on the usual. If you survive and return here, roll. I see. I spend 1 for it to increase. Okay. Ooh. So returning, there can be more frozen acolytes, but now they can't. Okay. So we also can't increase this roll. So we'll just straight up roll a 5. There is a tier 1 quest item here, which is perfect for us. And we know that the tier 1 quest item is simply tier 1 quest item. In this case, though, it's a bag or rucksack of food that the children of the town may gobble up. Nourish wasn't quite right. It would nourish them, but they couldn't nourish it. If they feed for food, I don't know how they'd do that, but it could be pretty unpleasant. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we return to the village. I could spend longer out here. I'm not going to risk it. Because we can recover those minor wounds without having to use our healing supplies. And we are getting rather high on our don't take the piss equipment limit, so I'll have to do something about that soon. I will go visit the alderman as I've completed his quest. As explained above, this is the default quest. The alderman has sent you on a quest into the Dark Wheel to find food and resources. A stash of food in a pack, which will be useful to feed the children of the town. Once you've returned to the alderman, roll on the alderman's quest table. This is your reward, which you note in your inventory. Let us absolutely do that. I feel like Oliver Twist. All the children coming up to the alderman going, "Please, sir, can I have some more? Let's see what manner of reward he chooses to bestow upon me." And a 1. It's worth noting that if we complete any other quest and have additional quest items, we get to roll on the alderman's reward table for every extra quest item. And we can either pretend he gave it to us or the person we gave the rewards to gave it to us because they were pleased with how many things we gave them to. Gave the others to. Oh, at last! The alderman is pleased and gifts you 3 copper coins and then mumbles, "We're a little short at the moment. Gain 1 reputation. You fancy finding some more?" Well, we're not going to gain 1 reputation, because we are going to give some nice mushrooms to the people of the town and gain 2 reputation points instead. And 3 copper coins. Excellent. And now we have a very good reason to visit Martha Shaw, the herbalist. No. We do not visit Martha Shaw, the herbalist. We remove the mushrooms so we don't accidentally keep them, because I said we'd remove them. And we need to roll on the Savage Scar table before anything else. It's a 6-sider. 5. Let's see. Martha requests that you come to her as she wants to show her apprentice the wound. She pays you 2 wooden tokens for the help. Gain 5 wear. The scar is easily hidden. So, 2 wooden tokens. I will note. On the side. And now let's go visit Martha, since it was a major wound. So the major wound doesn't seem to have any permanent facts, any permanent things, but we still have 1 major wound, right? You turn down the narrow Ducat Street, and just beyond the Rat and Dice pub is the Herb Den, Martha's home. The door swings inward, and you bend low beneath the beam and enter a dimly lit, cluttered space. A woman with shoulder-length hair turns away from grinding a pestle and mortar and greets you by your first name. "All right, Ellie, what can I do for you today, then?" "Is that back of yours playing up again?" She smiles. Stitching wounds. If you need a wound stitched, you show Martha. This is a scar that does not need to be stitched, as I'm not saying that because it didn't say it needed to be stitched. I'm saying that because a lot of results on the Savage Scar table say this wound needs stitching, or okay, no, it's from Major Wound table. Savage Scar, Major Wound quest, Savage Scar, Major Wound quest, Broken Bone table, Major Wound quest, Savage Scar, Savage Scar. There is something about needing. There is something in wounds about needing wound stitched, and I'm not sure. All penalties removed once the wound is healed. Well, I just got a. What was it? Savage Slash. If you have bandage, minor wound, it stops bleeding. Could have sworn I saw. So, okay, so let's see. If you need a wound stitched, I think it's something to do with minor wounds, where some monster attacks might be able to inflict things that need stitching. We have not been instructed that we need a wound stitch, so I will trust it that way. If you need a wound stitch and you show Martha, oh my word, that is grim. Let me stitch it up for you. You must pay 1 copper coin for the service and use the resources. If you do not have a copper coin, then you can give her a gift of equal value. Quest: Major Wound. If you have a major wound that needs tending other than stitching, you may do this as many times as required. We have an easily concealable scar that doesn't seem to have any long-term conditions. So let's... I'm skimming a moment. Quest, Herbs of a Town. Maybe all major wounds do need stitching. Let us see now. Let us see. Resting and healing. So heal all minor wounds. Go back a page. Major wounds. When you receive one, you must roll on the major wound table to discover how your character has been injured and the effect it has. You cannot attempt to heal them while on a journey. Otherwise, they also see Martha Shaw in town to help with major wounds. You may need to go on a quest to gather some. In that case, it may be safe to assume all major wounds require stitching, unless we're told otherwise, and then. Major wounds are harder to heal than minor wounds. Sometimes you need the expertise of Martha Shaw in town. Sometimes you'll need the expertise of Martha Shaw in town. What about when we don't need her expertise? Has that major wound been removed? Visit her and she will give you a quest to find the required items which will... Also, some major wounds have instructions as to how to heal them. See more on this in the combat section. Okay, combat section. Major wounds. Cannot attempt to heal them while on the journey unless overstated. To help with major wounds, you may need to get... So either it's completely fine, as it was a fairly minor major wound with no lasting consequences because we rolled very luckily on the Savage Scar table, or do not remove for major... Oh, hang on. Do not remove for major wound. You must downsize your reserve to come out. I mean, we got lucky this time. Really lucky. Wound is healed very well. In fact, my skin is... I mean... If you roll the same result as before, then roll again. Oh, that's... That's bizarre. So we can only get each one of these once? That can't be right. Maybe if we get multiple major wounds in the same fight. This is kind of feeling like it's ground to a halt and it's a good time to stop. So where did I see something about stitching wounds? Because it's going to make a small scar anyway, right? So it's going to need stitching because it was an open wound that bled. It could open again. I will happily pay a copper coin to have it stitched up because it makes total sense. Major wound table. Let's see if I can find things here that say they need stitching, right? Once stitched, you will still need to have it stitched. Deep cut. Deep bruising. Nope. Disfiguring cut. Need to visit Martha Shaw and complete the major wound quest. So that's also roll on the Savage Scar table. Broken leg. Well, you won't need that stitching, will you? Stunning blow. Bloody puncture. Major wound quest. Stunning blow doesn't. Stunning blow. This major wound will heal after one night's sleep. Right. So that's clear. Bloody puncture. Savage slash. If you survive. Alright, hang on. After. The impact opens a savage wound on your side. Warm blood seeps into your clothing and you apply pressure immediately as you put up your guard. If you survive the fight and have a bandage, you can wrap the wound. If you have no bandage, then gain a minor wound, after which it stops bleeding. Roll a die. Any body armor you're wearing is damaged and cannot be used. It can be repaired at the armory in town. Gain 2 rage and lose 1 pity. Also roll on the Savage Scar table once back in Grimscar. There's nothing. This wound is healed after a night's sleep from a heavy blow. So there's going to be nothing on the Savage Slash table. The thing is, Savage Scars can need treatments, right? They can give a lot of wear, major quest wound, reduced reserve die, gain wear. Wound is becoming infected. You must use some healing balm and 1 combat size downsize until you do. Okay. No, she's just impressive little scar. She wants to show her apprentice. She pays for that. Gain 5 wear. I should absolutely do that. And that's actually a problem. Because now we have 10 wear. Which I believe messes us up seriously. The scar is... 5 wear is bad enough, right? Upsize become over to tough. I think that completely heals overnight. But we have 10 points of wear. Wear and tear, which will wear us down. There we go. For every 10 points of wear, your minor wounds death line drops by 1 point. There is no limit to it, so it doesn't affect major wounds death line. For some reason I thought it did. So now we will die at 9 major wounds, 9 minor wounds, not 10. Which means our multitude of healing items is going to be a problem. We can, however, tidy up this. There we go. And we can take pride in a quest completed. We do have good reputation, so that's great. And I'm thinking we should visit someone else in town before we head out again. With 14 coins, it might even be worth visiting Farnham and trying to get hold of a better weapon. Although really, yeah, I mean, some kind of armor would be great. Anything to help us fight foes. But for now, yeah, I think I'll end this episode here. We've had a very successful second day questing. Oh, that's a point actually, yeah, day 2. Where did I have the days listed again? Yeah. So we've ended day 2. We will be going out on day 3 next time. I think I put day 2 because, you know, episode 2. If I do an episode a day as well, that'll help too. Alright, well, Ellie's got a small scar, so I will remove that major wound because it seems to have no lasting permanent consequences apart from the wear, obviously, which is a problem going forwards, as it will just continue to mount up. Alright, there we have it. Hope you all enjoyed this episode. Sorry it took so long to get it out. It just wasn't expecting to have a load of demos drop that I was really interested in. And as I said in at least one, if not all 3 of those videos, I don't generally do videos covering demos. I tend to wait for things to release or at least hit early access. So there will be more Grimscar episodes, and they will be a little more frequent, hopefully. At least 1 a week. Possibly 2 if I can manage it. Alright, well, thank you all very much for watching, and try not to get too cold in the forest out there. It's perishing. It really is. Bye-bye.